Hi, it's Dia. Today we're going to continue on Penelope's garden, but we're just going to do these 3 little mushrooms. Are there 3? Yes, 3. And if we have time, that little tiny door. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to use pencil-wise. These are all polychromos. The first color is burnt ochre. Some people say ochre. It's kind of like a light burnt umber. Bister, which is kind of like a very light mushroom brown color. Burnt sienna, raw umber. So you can see kind of woodsy neutrals almost. Warm gray, and a variety of reds, yellows, scarlets, and melons. Okay, the top one is deep scarlet red, madder. What does this even say? Cadmium orange, scarlet red, cadmium yellow, and orange glaze. Okay. Now, I was going to do all of them the same color, but at the very last minute I decided that for the middle one I would add some little extra pieces, little dots on them, and for that I'm going to use this Copic multi-liner in 0.03. It's a super thin top. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to work on the outside 2 first, and I'm going to make the edges darker. I'm using Bister. Really sharp point, pushing a little bit hard. And then as I move up, getting a little bit lighter, pushing a little less hard. I'm also going to push a little bit harder around the edges, because when you leave the center lighter, it gives the impression of a cylinder shape or the item being rounded. I'm going to color a little bit darker around these indicated areas where there's slight damage around the edges of the mushroom. And underneath, I'm going to take the warm gray. Since in this entire picture, the light's coming from this direction, and the mushroom itself acts as an umbrella. So there would be a natural shadow under here, probably a little more in this corner. I'm going to take the darker brown, the burnt sienna, at the bottom, and just like on top, I'm going to start pushing harder at the bottom, and then as I go up toward the top, I'm going to get a little bit lighter. I'm going to take the Bister again and blend that in. I'm going to use the bistre again on the sides. I have a tendency to go over and over an area until I like the way it looks. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of details, and you can do this in any of your pictures. On this mushroom, there are little areas to indicate the spore area. So I'm going to add that in this mushroom too. Nothing huge, but I like it. I'm taking the warm gray again. And I'm going to basically do almost the same thing on the other mushroom. And then the middle mushroom, we're going to do a little bit different. This one on the bottom, I started with the bistre. I hope I'm saying that right, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I would have named this that color because, first of all, I don't know what that word means. And, what would I name this color? Maybe cafe mocha or chocolate chip cookie dough, possibly. Now this one I think I'm going to leave whiter in the center. I really like the way that looks. In fact, I like the way this one looks better than this one. And on this one, I left the darker brown out on the bottom. Yeah, I think that looks really good. I'm going to take the warm gray again. And this time I'm going to just focus in the center and see how that turns out. I really like that too. And then I'm going to highlight these. Well, I guess it wouldn't be really highlighting, but I'm going to make them darker to make them stand out more. I'm going to pull some of this warm gray through the lighter area and make this side a little more shadowy. The shadow kind of would be, if this part of the mushroom is standing out a bit, this part would be in the shadow. So I'm going to make that a little more gray. I like that. Now for the middle one, I'm going to do something different. This is where the Copic liner comes in. I want this mushroom to be red. And to me, this looks like a typical poisonous red mushroom. And it has those little white, I don't know what they are, dots or spots or areas that actually stand out on top of the mushroom. I'm going to even make one stand out over here. Over here. Okay, so that one looks a little bit different. And I think I'm going to use a different gray also. Let's see. Let me find it. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Are you still in there? Oops. Yes. Okay. So for this mushroom, I'm going to, once again, assuming the light's coming from this direction, find the spot that I think the sun would be hitting the most and color that with yellow. This color is light chrome yellow. I'm going to make it the darkest, most intense here. I'll cover a little bit of the area. I'm sorry. I'm going to cover the rest of the mushroom, but only a little bit with this. Very lightly, because it doesn't have to be as dramatic as right here, because this is where you're actually going to see the yellow. In the rest of the areas, it's going to be covered. Now, around the outside of that area that we're going to leave yellow, I'm going to use cadmium orange. And start to make the rest of the mushroom slightly darker. I'm going to also cover up the area that we lightly covered with yellow. And this way we're producing layers, and it will add lovely interest to the rest of the mushroom. Okay, next color, slightly darker orange glaze. And I'm going to start to focus down here a little bit more because the colors are starting to get more intense. So the orange glaze will be darkest at the bottom, and then a little bit of coverage just like we did with the other two colors. Now I colored that dot by accident because I'm trying to, for the sake of speed and the video, go a little quicker than I normally would. So at the end, I'll probably take my gel pen and go over that. I'm gonna make this area a little bit darker to indicate that there's some imbrications or flaws in the mushroom. The next color I'm gonna go over with is Scarlet Red. Now we're gonna really start to use the color that the mushroom is going to appear. Some people think that it's a waste of time to do all the layers, but I love the layers and I think they're important because you can see subtly all the layers that you put underneath shining through. It makes whatever you're coloring look more lush. The colors look just beautiful. Now the colors would look darker on the edge because that's where the shadow would be. So I'm going to make the red the most intense there and at the base. This is Scarlet Red. This may be the last red I use, but it might not be also. I have one darker, and I'll see how much I like the way it looks. Okay, the last color is Madder. M-A-D-D-E-R, like madder. Okay, I am gonna use this one. I'm gonna go over the lines on the mushroom and the little details with this madder color. Makes them stand out more and you can tell that they're there. Okay, now all these little white spots stand away from the mushroom. So I'm going to, on the left side, make a little tiny shadow on each one because that's how it would appear. Make a little bit of a shadow underneath. I'm going to use the gray as the stem also because I want the stem to appear white. So it doesn't really need much coloring. I'm going to blend this a little bit. Here's where you can pull some of the colors into the yellow area without taking it over. I'm going to get the white gel pen. Highlight the white areas. I'm going to put a little white over here too. Make those areas in the mushroom stand out. And then the little tiny door I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to start with warm gray. I'm going to go over the whole thing. And I'm going to take Bister again. And where you see the lines where the slats in the door would be, since the light's coming from here, I'm going to make it a little darker. And then I'll highlight in that direction. Now I'm going to take a darker color. In this case, I will use raw umber, and I'll just accentuate the little lines that indicate the wood. I'll take the dark warm gray and make little tiny lines on the bottom. So it's not one straight line. It sort of indicates that there's an up and down quality of the wood. Now, this isn't perfect, but as you can see, it doesn't look like a flat piece of wood. Kind of goes up and down. I'm going to make the door handle a little bit darker and go over a little bit more where the slats would separate with the dark gray. And there you have it. Let me take a look at this up close. I also wanted to say, sometimes if you have a group of things and you make them all the same, it can be a really impactful look. But if you want one thing to stand out, you can make several things similar and then make one thing different. Now this isn't perfect, obviously. I would, if it was a picture that someone was buying or I was going to do a cover for something, I would make this much neater. Once again, I hope you get the idea. You know what? I think I'm going to even put a little bit of shadow over here on the left-hand side. Darken that up. I'll darken that side also on all of them with the dark gray. Okay, there we go. 3 mushrooms and a little mouse or fairy door. I hope you liked this video. I hope you give me a thumbs up if you did. And I hope you follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.